Hello, this is Arielle from Inconspicuous Bear, and I'll be narrating the heroic version of the Bloodmaul Slag Mines dungeon in Warlords of Draenor from a Guardian point of view. As with the rest of their heroic dungeon guides, I'm not going to include anything about talents or gear or anything like that, because you'll be doing these to get gear, so you won't necessarily have gear. And talents are really cut and dry for heroic dungeons in general, and really just all PvE content, and those are all covered in the Guardian Guide on the Inconspicuous Bear forums. Repeating that here is kind of pointless. We completed this dungeon in about 20 to 25 minutes-ish. We went reasonably fast, and it's also worth noting that our group is comprised of pretty much entirely 1414 heroic Garrosh raiders, so I mean, your mileage will vary depending on like how many stacks of the buff you get from the random group thing, whether or not they're all like 1414 heroic or just heroic raiders in general, and that sort of stuff. But in any case, the first trash pack you saw there was two big guys. I forget what they're called. They're dudes with big hammers and they swing things. The one part about those is that they will have a little rumbly ground graphic on the ground, kind of like the Conquerors from Proving Grounds, that you'll get stunned if you stand in it, so obviously don't stand in that. Other than that, they hit kind of hard. So, I mean, you use your general active mitigation stuff, but otherwise they're pretty easy to handle. They'll also charge off onto random party members for something. I don't know what it is, but they just randomly charge, so be aware of that. The previous group that you just saw us kill has a few different mobs in it. They're all pretty trivial. I believe one of them is this dude that I'm targeting right now, which I think is like a subjugator or something. Oh yeah, so the beam is the dude. Anyway, so there are some mobs that will kind of like channel a stun onto a target, which can be interrupted or silenced or what have you. And other mobs will cast this purple cloud you see there. It's actually a suppression field, and you get pacified if you go into it, which is obviously no good for anyone. So don't stand in the purple stuff. It shouldn't appear on you because it is preferred to be cast on ranged. And then we pull these two guys. In heroic dungeons, it's hard to know when things are like dangerous, I guess. If you and your healer are like, communicating and you know how to handle things, then you can pull maybe one, maybe two packs at a time, and it's not really that big of a deal. This is two different pulls. It's a pet patrol and a single person or a single mob. But I chose to pull them together because I knew I could handle it, and I knew my healer could handle it. So make sure that you and your healer are aware of that, because if you try and do this and your healer's like not paying attention, you will probably die, even though you're a tank. So just make sure that is on your radar. I also want to quickly point out that this is actually a non-linear dungeon. There are two separate paths you can go down to start with. You can take either path, but you do have to do both bosses, one on each side, before you can go to the third boss. So just keep that in mind when you're traveling down. We took the west side here, and we're going to pull these two mobs. This little furnace that we're going to run into is going to keep spawning things, and they're going to keep running out. So you kind of want to get through this as quickly as possible. I think that dude has an rage, but I wasn't really paying attention to what he does. Okay, so this part, you need to get everything, kill it, and then move on to the big guy. You can't see it right now. There's a big guy in the back there. That dude is what triggers the spawn of all these little things. So you need to make sure that you can't really pull the big guy with all the stuff that you brought this up right now. You have to clear enough of it that when you go to pull the big guy, you don't die, but you can't take so long that more just keeps spawning. Otherwise, you'll just never get ahead. Then you won't have a choice. So these are going to go die. Okay, so most of these are dead. And a lot of them spawn at like really low HP, so they die really easily, and they're non-elites, or some of them are non-elites, and they have a lot less HP. So you just kind of keep running through this just like any other gauntlet. I was basically just spamming Thrash here because there's so many targets. You get like 10 Thrash every 10 rage every GCD. It's so good. So we get to the big guy here. The big guy does a couple things. The first thing he does is he will basically cast Fireball, like Chain Fireball onto you. And see these little pillars of fire? He spawns those as well. And they will be really, really annoying. Because they're hard to see between him and all the other fire effects going on. And they hurt if you touch them, like a lot. They hurt a lot more in challenge mode, but they still hurt in Heroic. So you gotta make sure that you're not touching them or avoiding them as best you can while killing this dude. And on top of that, ads will keep spawning from both sides. However, when the big guy dies, all the fire pillars go away and ads stop spawning. So you can run either to the left or the right. We're going left because reasons. I don't really have a reason. We're going to go left, pull this little elemental here, big elemental and little ones, kill them. The next pack you can see off in the distance there, it's actually like 4 ogres and an elemental, which, while they start at low HP, they're really annoying to deal with, and ads will keep spawning from these 2 furnaces here. So this dude's almost dead. Gonna drag him over here, so make sure I can pull the ads up if they spawn. And then I'm just gonna charge headlong into this and grab all these guys. So yeah, there's 3 ogres and a big elemental and some little elementals. This is a really good time to use a major cooldown because there's a lot of damage, or even more than 1 major cooldown, because there's a lot of damage at the start of this pull that you will need to be handled appropriately. So you got one big dude that oh yeah, so the dude I just got feared there. The dude with the big axe, he has a cast time AoE fear, so that can be interrupted by like a silence or just a regular old interrupt. You just got to make sure that either you or someone else interrupts it. It won't be fatal if you miss it. It's just really, really annoying. All right, so all these ogres are dead, and we're gonna go to the first boss. First boss, I mean, I barely pay attention to any of his mechanics. He's like really easy. So you just kind of sit here. He'll do this, which you don't care about. Doesn't affect you in any way. There's this little throwing little lava balls everywhere. So then he spawns an elemental. This elemental doesn't move. It's stationary. I don't know if it does bad things if there's something in melee range, but what else? Oh, actually, I lied. He does move. So you can take this earth elemental. Doesn't really do anything. There's this ground smash deal, and I don't really know what it does. I just didn't stand in it because it's a ground effect, and you generally just don't stand in ground effects. So after the earth elemental dies, he spawns fire elemental. You can interrupt the thing that the fire elemental casts, and otherwise you just kind of sit here and take the fire elemental. Yeah, he dies, or will die shortly, sort of. Alright, so kill the 2 elementals, and then you go ahead and kill the ogre. And after you kill the ogre, the boss will come out. Because you can't really tell from you can see him. But the boss is actually in the furnace, and he's like trying to control the mage or something. Or like the mage is trying to control the elemental. But it seems kind of dumb to be doing that while we're killing him. Anyway. Alright, so ogre dies. Right now-ish, sort of. Yeah, ogre dies. Alright, so then the big dude comes out. The second phase of this boss isn't really any different, or any more or less difficult than the first phase. He does this AoE thing, which will stun you if you stand in it. But he, like, melees for basically nothing, so yay, I guess? I don't know. So that happens. And he also summons this ad over there, but you don't care about it. That's just a DPS thing. You just basically sit here. You can choose to run out of the AoE stun or not. It doesn't make a difference one way or the other. I mean, you should use reactive mitigation so you don't piss your healers off. But other than that, I mean, you can move the boss around, so you can DPS these little guys too, because why not? There's no real reason not to. But other than that, just kind of sit here, hit the boss, do. He only has 2 mechanics. Well, there might be more, but there's only 2 that I noticed. Yeah. So this boss is kind of boring. And we're gonna die. Oh, no, he's like 25. It's like 10%. He'll be dead in a sec. Alright, so the boss is very close to being dead. He'll die right about now. Nah, there we go. Okay, he's dead. So we stop and do loot, because reasons. And then we keep running. So we're going to run all the way back through this furnace area. Don't go the way you didn't go before, if that makes any sense, because there'll still be some trash up. So you just run through here. So now you can either go all the way back to the start and then down the other side, or you can just take a left here. Going left kind of makes more sense because you have to kill all those mobs anyway, or half of them at least. So we run down here, and we get to some more trash. Just a couple of these half-naked dudes that we've seen plenty before already. I think they have a stacking and rage effect. I think. I'm not like 100% on that. I know they kind of do damage, or they do more damage as time goes on. But nothing too particularly interesting. They kind of die. Yay. And then we're going to get down to the doorway, or like the fire wall of fire dealy. Basically, the thing is artificially put there in order to keep you from doing a boss you're not supposed to do, pretty much. So we kill this guy. He shouldn't be alive for too much longer. So we'll get to this pool of fire. This like lava worm parasite thing is going to pop out. Like, you know, something that looks like magma, pretty much. Like a shrunken version of magma. And we get to here. Shrunken version of magma. He doesn't really do anything cool. He just kind of sits here and spews lava at things, and it's boring. He takes a long time to die. It's really kind of dumb. Yeah. I have nothing to say here. There's nothing really to talk about. So, I'm just gonna not say anything. It's boring, isn't it? The whole not talking thing? Yeah, it's pretty boring. Alright, so Worm's dead. Or Worm's gonna be dead. Alright, so normally if you kill the two bosses already, there would be a trash pack here, but since we haven't, there's no trash pack. So we're gonna walk all the way around. Back up this side. And we're going to pull this trash pack. There's actually a pat that runs way close to these guys as well. So be careful of that when you're engaging this trash. Not that you probably can't handle it. You probably can, but erring on the side of caution, especially in a pug, is generally a good order. Make sure you're moving out of the smash. I accidentally pulled the piggy here, kind of sort of on purpose. I think Sarah said something about there being a pig, so I pulled it. That's all I really remember. Yeah. These were all done in beta, so it's possible things are slightly different, but this is what our experience was. So we just kind of kill the trash. And the pig is another one of those like just random things that it's kind of there. You don't actually have to kill the pig. You can run right by it. I think it may be part of a quest, maybe. But yep, giant pig with spines, giant tusk spine things and stuff. All right, and piggy's dead. So we're gonna go kill the pat. Run up here, kill the pat. There's a lot of places where using roar gets you. I mean, it's a speed boost, so I mean, it's kind of good, but... Alright, so we kill a pat, which is just these two mobs here. Make sure... Something to remember, just in general in Heroic Dungeons now, is that interrupting is good. So, interrupt all the things. And as a Guardian, you have a ton of interrupts, so interrupt all the things. Like that. Because a lot of them are just annoyances that only affect other people and not you. And anything that makes the dungeon go slower is just really irritating. Alright, so we pull this trash pack that's in front of this door here. Alright, so we're going to engage this trash pack in front of the door here. Just a quick reminder that there is another pack like you have to kill right after this, and there's also pats that go between where we are right now and the entrance to the dungeon when we came in. Well, not where we came in, but the split V that goes to each one of the bosses, one on the left, one on the right hand side. There's a couple paths that walk up down there, so pulling them isn't going to be horrible, but just in general, pulling extra stuff is not a good thing. I mean, I guess it's okay. And you see her, I stood in the stun like a dumbass. So, go me! Standing in stuns. Woohoo! There's the purple pacification puddle. And we're gonna run off to the side. Yay! Okay, dude's dead. So now we pull this last trash pack for the actually it's like the second last trash pack for the boss or something. This particular pack has two shamans, I think they are. Basically, two things that chain cost lava burst in you, and it fucking hurts. Like it's really painful. Unfortunately, you have to sit on the dude that I'm on right now in order to interrupt the AoE fear. So, hopefully the rest of your group is actually capable of doing interrupts. Otherwise, you may need to use a cooldown here, or two, to survive through these lava bursts because they hurt a lot. Also depends how competent your healer is, but this is probably one of the most dangerous trash packs in the instance. Easily, I think. Purely because of the lava burst nonsense. Alright, so these guys are going to die. Alright, one's dead. And then by the time really the main dude dies, like the melee dude dies, it's like kind of trivial. But, here we are. Alright, so they're all dead. I think there's a little bit more trash we have to do. Yeah, there's two of these big melee guys with the AoE fear. You can actually outrange the fear, so dragging them a little bit further in isn't a bad idea. And also gotta have designated interrupts for each of the fears, because there's two of them. Otherwise, they're just gonna kind of stand here, and there goes one. And come on, die already. There goes the other one. Oh, alright, there it's it. Okay, so this boss, there's a few things that you actually have to pay attention to. The first being, he will cast like a inspiring roar, or like, I forget what it's called, ferocious roar I think it's called, or ferocious shout or something, that increases damage and attack speed of not only him, but some of the adds as well. So interrupting that is like super important. You can get all of them because Guardian, but if you're not a Guardian and you're still watching this video, just coordinate with your group on who's going to get which one. You'll probably need 2 melee, as in 2 people with 15-second interrupts, or possibly 3 if you have longer duration or longer cooldown interrupts than just a standard 15 seconds. Another thing he'll do is he'll summon adds, which you can see I'm just picking up here. The adds themselves are not particularly entertaining. They're just adds. So feel free to spam thrash and kill them. He'll do this little spike thing where he shamans a spike and like kicks it and stuff. You don't care about that because it doesn't really affect you. The last thing he'll do is he'll jump around like an idiot. This can be really annoying, especially if you need to interrupt his roar while he's jumping. So there's this little like knockback, and then he's jumping, and now he's doing a roar. So that can be really frustrating. I recommend having a speed boost, or some sort of speed boost or gap closer. For druids, this would be obviously wild charge, because wild charge OP. But paladins, like I don't know, I know paladins have some sort of dash, but I don't know what it's called. DKs like Death Advance. Warriors don't need anything because warriors OP. And monks roll, so it's fine. After you kill the second boss, either the one that you just killed, or the other side, you'll get this short little cinematic where they'll show you where to go. Basically, you just go back to where you came from. So the door will open, and this trash pack will spawn. I don't know what the hell sheep's icicles are doing, so I'm just ignoring them. Alright, so we run down this hill. Someone decided to do something. I don't know what they did. Alright, so we run down this hill, which you'll recognize as the hill where we killed the boar, or the pig. And we get to this trash pack. This is one of the other super dangerous trash packs in the instance. But all the ogres can be CC'd on Heroic, so actually not all of them. I think the melee dude can't be CC'd, if memory serves. He like buff himself and break CC. So you need to make sure that you don't CC that guy. That's the one with the AoE roar fear thing. He's also the guy you want to kill first because AoE fears are bad. So kill the big guy with the fear first, and then just kind of kill everyone else. The Geomancer, the rest of them are really trivial. It's just the big guy with the fear is the most dangerous one because you can fear your whole group and then bad things happen. Yeah, just kind of chill, kill these guys. The next boss is actually really cool. So it's just a matter of killing these silly little ogres to get to the next boss. Come on, ogres. Die, ogres. Okay, there goes that guy. Which just leaves us with the Smashy dude and the Enragey dude. We're killing the Smashy dude first, because I don't like smashes. Oh, he's dead. Just leaves this guy. So the next boss, we'll see in a second here. He really only has 2 mechanics that you care about, but they're kind of fun to deal with. Well, fun. They're different. Let's just say they're different. Because they're movement mechanics, and movement mechanics are fun. Okay, so the boss himself is stationary. He's like this giant earth, LE, fire, lava dude. So you run up to him. I'm waiting for my group to... Yeah, okay. So you run up to him, and you just kind of tank him. It's advantageous to tank him like so he's facing one way, so that if you do actually have melee, which we don't in this group, that they can get behind him for that extra tiny little bit of DPS. So these boulders that you're seeing, he'll summon 3 boulders per phase, and these boulders will fall in the little circles that you see on the ground. There's one for the left side, one for the right side, one for the middle, and they all kind of overlap like a Venn diagram. So you need to make sure that you're not getting hit by any of the boulders when they spawn or when they roll. And so what happens is they roll away from you and then roll back towards where the boss is. They roll back through the fire. So you need to make sure that you're dodging boulders. The second mechanic, which we just saw, was he'll like do a fire wind thing where he like pushes you away from him, and will also like start throwing fire everywhere. The fire thing, like the fire wind thing, does damage. It's a pretty trivial amount of damage, but it's damage. And the fire, he never throws in melee, so you don't care. Yeah, so this is the wind thing I was talking about right now. But this boss will die very shortly. It is kind of like a soft rage timer because eventually you will run out of room because the fire doesn't go away. But again, it doesn't affect melee, so it's only on other people. And there's like 3 or 4 more trash pulls before the boss is over, or before the instance is over. So the first piece of trash towards the last boss is one of these big Cyclops-looking dudes. It's an Ogron, which you'll also see in the Highmaul raid instance, and in a lot of different places. It's like kind of like a cross between an Ogre and a Gron. They kind of hurt. I mean, I guess their melee swings aren't that bad. Remember, the Heroic Dungeons in beta were scaled down to 615 a level, so they weren't exactly like a walk in the park. So they do kind of hurt. And the big thing is their AoE shout, which does a lot of AoE damage, and it can't be outranged. So don't be afraid to like maybe use a Barkskin if you get into trouble when Savage Defense isn't up. Now the next pull is going to have 2 of these guys. I think in this video I'll root one, if memory serves. Or no, in Challenge I rooted one because I didn't want to do 2 at once. But in Heroic I just pulled both of them at the same time. Because why not? In Heroic they're substantially less dangerous than they are in Challenge mode. But still, they're plenty dangerous if you're not aware of what they do and how to handle their abilities. You see here, I'm getting like sitting probably around 30% health most of the time. But I'm never really in any particular danger of dying. Killing these dudes. Killing the dudes. My group's getting kind of worked though. So the less that the healer has to pay attention to you, the more the healer can pay attention to the group. Because those 2 shouts can like do some damage. But once one of them dies, it's pretty trivial because one of these is not threatening in any way. So let's do. There we go. Now they're dead. Awesome. So there's only 2 more pieces of trash left. The 3 ogres up by the boss, they all come together, but this one comes separately. So you can pull this one by himself. These ogres have 2 things that they do. The first is going to be that, which I think... I don't know which one I interrupted. But, okay, so this one's going to go off, and I don't know which one. Okay, so that's the channel. They will cast this channel flame ability, which is basically burning hands, if you've ever played D&D. And it will be channeled in whatever direction they are facing during the cast. So just make sure you're facing them away from the party, so the party doesn't get like murdered by lots of fire. The second thing they'll do is drop those orbs of fire, which like just randomly shoot firebolts at people. So you can see they're shooting firebolts at the party members. So you don't really need to pay attention to them super much. Just try and make sure you're always facing the ogres away from everyone else, so they don't get channel fire cast on them. And then you can just move out of it as soon as it starts, so it doesn't really even matter. Okay. These guys are going to die very, very shortly. There's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. Okay, so last boss. Last boss of this dungeon is pretty cake. He doesn't do anything frightening on Heroic. So yeah. Just kind of chilling. Alright, here we go. Last boss. So this main thing he'll do is cast this blast, Molten Blast, I think it's called. It's basically like a single target nuke. That's the primary thing he'll do, is he'll cast it into you. You can interrupt it if you want, it's no big deal. Second thing he'll do is he will summon ads. I don't think you can see it here, but yeah, there's an ad. So these ads fixate on like one of the furnaces around the room, and if it reaches the furnace, it gets big and mean and big and nasty. It's not your job to do anything to them. However, if they spawn next to the boss, feel free to hit them. Next thing you have to worry about is these little pools of fire. So these pools of fire constantly spawn around the room, and you need to be not standing in them, because standing in fire is bad. And you also need to make sure that there's room around the boss for melee to stand if you have any melee in your group. I don't, not in this particular group, but it is possible to get melee, so make sure you're aware of that. You will notice that I have a flame buffet debuff on me. However, I'm a tank, so I don't care. Your healer will be primarily focusing on cleansing the debuff from themselves and from the DPS. They will pretty much just straight up ignore you. Or straight up ignore flame buffet on you, because the only time you ever take fire damage is with the AoE. Because you should never take a direct nuke damage, and you should never take any pool damage. So, flame buffet means nothing. But yeah, that's the fight. And that's the Heroic Bloodmaul Slag Mines. Hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck in Warlords of Draenor.